Excellent. Welcome into Unscripted. Aaron McLaughlin is here. Timothy
Yes.
Lindsay is here, and Megan. No one. I'm joking. It's Noon. Megan Noon. Yes. Am I saying it? Am I saying it right or wrong?
That's it. It's correct, but I get no one all the time. Call
Do
me
you
whatever you
really?
want.
Do
Yeah.
people?
Yes, and
That's
typically,
Megan,
guys,
she's
whenever
a no
someone does it, they think it's like they've invented it themselves. They're like, hold on, guess what? No one. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that 4 times this week. What?
Yeah, I had to lead him. I had to lead him with the horrible humor to kick off the show.
I appreciate it, Tim.
So, Megan Noon, you are going to help some of our financially illiterate people get wicked smarter in the next half an hour or so. So I'll let you introduce yourself and explain to us where you are and what you are currently doing within the world of finance.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. So, hello, good evening. My name is Megan Noon, not no one, not Noonie either. I get all sorts of different
I feel
things.
like that one's fun. Maybe okay.
I'll make a note. I'll use
play
that
with
later.
it. I mean, I'm open to suggestions, you know. So, my name. Let's just go with this. My name is Megan. I'm like Cher,
All right, cool.
and I work here at an amazing company called New Hampshire Federal Credit Union. I'm in the Center for Finance and Education. And we have offices in Concord, New Hampshire, as well as in Lee, New Hampshire. I'm currently working out of the Lee office solely due to COVID, but typically I go back and forth in a non-plagued environment. And what we do, I know, right? And I had the plague a few weeks back, so I can attest to it for sure. But
I'm glad you're on
what
camera.
we do.
Yeah.
I know, and I live to tell the tale. Thank goodness. Poor Erin, I sent her an email from Facebook. I don't know if it even made sense. I was like, wicked sick, talk to you soon. Like, you know, it was terrible.
Yeah, I was just like, just get better. Just get better.
That was the plan. It worked, which is good. Took me a few weeks before I was feeling great, and my sense of taste and smell came back beginning of last week, so that was good. Because
it's been so long, I forgot that was happening to people.
Oh yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, so let me share with you guys quickly, because I know we're pressed for time, how I found out my taste of my sense of taste was gone. So I got up one morning, took a shower, brushed my teeth, went into the kitchen. I remember pouring myself a glass of water, because that's usually what I drink. Pour myself a glass of orange juice with the idea that I would obviously drink that later because I had just brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
And then realized that I had been drinking the orange juice, and I didn't even know. I had no idea I was drinking it. So literally toothpaste, mouthwash, boom, orange juice. And I'm like, this is great, you know? So yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, you know, I've heard a couple stories like that from people who actually didn't realize that they had lost their sense of smell and taste until somebody sort of pointed it out or something triggered that they're like, oh, because they kind of remember what stuff tastes like.
It's true.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
The funny thing is, I was still craving certain things. Like I remember I was like, oh, I really could use some chocolate. And my friend's like, Megan, you can't taste it. And I'm like, yeah, that's an accurate point, but I still want some. Like,
yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. I think we had someone in our office that had, she was saying that she couldn't taste her coffee and it was irritating her so much, just that she couldn't, it was like not satisfying.
How's your hot water? It's great.
Yeah.
I get that. No, it's true. It was like, I'm eating. And I remember just being like, this is just, like, you know, and like I said, I kept eating flavorful foods. I don't know if I was trying to internally punish myself or like what I was thinking, you know. Yeah. I had buffalo chicken one night. I'm like, why are you bothering?
Yeah.
So,
that could be like the best diet ever though, right? Like just no sense of taste.
You'd think. You would think unless you ate ghost pepper wings. Anyway.
I wonder if during that time while you had no taste, if you ate ghost pepper wings, would you still sweat? Like, would you still get?
I probably would have sweat, just not noticed, because I can honestly say I walked into my kitchen after I realized I was drinking orange juice with mouthwash. Ooh. And I went, I know, it's just so gross, you know. And I was like, okay, I have a huge tub of cinnamon that like I can usually smell from my living room in my kitchen. Like it's what I use for cooking and smoothies and everything else. I literally stuck my whole head in it, nothing. I was like, okay, it's gone. A big salad that I had with feta cheese and some of those jalapeno sliced, nothing. I was like, all right, well, yikes. I think it's safe to say I have COVID, you know?
Yeah,
that wasn't my first indicator. Yeah, it wasn't my first indicator, but it was when I started, it was before I got my test back. And I basically went to get my test and I told the woman, I said, if I test negative, I'll be back tomorrow because I have this virus. Like I absolutely do. Like I had every symptom. But I'm back now, doing awesome. And again, my name is Megan Noon. I work at the New Hampshire Federal Credit Union's Center for Finance and Education. And I literally have one of the best jobs in the world. Although I think Erin's job is even cooler. But mine is really awesome too, because I get to help people with their money all day. And I'm not talking about figuring out your retirement funding. I'm not talking about your stocks and your bonds. Don't call me for that. I have no idea. Okay. What I do is help people with their every day to day. So when people say to me, Megan, I'd love to buy a house at some point. I got this great Keller Williams agent. I'd love to buy a house, but I don't know. I don't even know if I have a credit score, or I don't know if it's good enough. Or people that'll come to me, I hear this at least twice a week. Megan, we work so hard and we never have any money. I don't know where we spend it all. So my team and I, for free, by the way, will work with people one-on-one for as long as they want us to, as long as they'll keep me around, and help them set a budget, set financial goals that fit their lifestyle, their income. I've had some people say to me, oh, I met with someone last year and they told me I had to save $500 a paycheck. And I said, well, does that work for you? And she was like, no, I make $1,000 a paycheck. I'm like, well, then that doesn't make any sense. Right. We would never tell you to do that. That makes no sense. So, right. We work with people one-on-one, and we also put on some fabulous webinars that are free. They're financial education webinars. And Erin was kind enough to let me do a bunch of these for some Keller Williams agents a few months back. Yep. Yep. And if you go to our website, which is www.nhfcu.org, if you go up top to the Center for Finance and Education tab, you'll get to a calendar, and you're going to be able to see all of our free webinars we have going on, and you can sign up for anything you'd like.
And this is for anyone like all over the country. It's not just specific to New Hampshire, right? And
yeah, great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. And then anybody can participate at all. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one of the things that we talk a lot about on this show is just like, how do people get into the things that they're doing, and why are you passionate about it? What gets you going every day? And so I know you've been in banking like
a long time. My entire adult life since 1997.
Yeah. And I know you've said that this has been one of the most rewarding positions you've been in, right? That you enjoy this. What is it about it that makes you like excited to come to work, even when you have no sense of taste or smell, and like you're raring to go?
So this is how I really kind of got started in this line of work, as far as the passion that I have. And I've always been a banker, but about 10 and a half years ago, my father died, and my parents struggled with money every day. They did not make a lot of money. I actually found out when I was about 34. About 30. I made more than my father, which was just horrifying to me. Just horrifying. And they put not only just myself, but my two younger brothers through school. And my father died of a massive heart attack. He was at the gym when he died. He went every day. He was in good shape. He ate well, but he had a ton of stress. Right. So much of it financially related. And, and it wasn't until after he died that it's not that I didn't know this, but I didn't realize this. And this is what motivates me every day to come to work, even when I can't taste anything, to help people, because I have seen what financial stress does to people, to families. And one of my most favorite things is when I have someone that starts working with us one-on-one, or we start meeting with, And many times, guys, they come in and they're all hunched over and they can't, look you in the eye. And they're so embarrassed. And they have the most horrible words that they're saying about themselves, things like stupid and dumb. And I can't handle that. Erin knows I'm all about positivity all day long. So I'm like, no, we're going to take those negative words. We're going to turn them into one better word for you. It's called hope. That's what I'm here for. We are able to work with people, meet them at their level, give them hope, listen to them, understand their issues. And I've heard it all. I've been a banker for 20 plus years. Every time someone says, I'm going to shock you, I say, don't even try. It won't work. Like, just give it to me. I've heard it all.
Should have been here last Thursday. I've got pictures. Like, I can only imagine. Some of the stories. But everybody, I think it's, I think with social media now, so many people and we all know this is true. Like, nobody's posting their bad days. So if you are struggling financially and you're sitting on your couch and you're thumbing through social media and you're watching everybody else live their excellence or perceived excellence, that's that's just a magnifier for, I think, a whole generation that are presuming, we have something we say at the office here all the time that Erin and I are always talking about is, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides.
Right.
Like, people can shine really great and then they get, and they might get, then the saying too is, I'd rather be crying in my Mercedes than smiling in my my Chevy. But then they go into their Mercedes and they cry. And they're miserable, but they're super concerned about even people that are quote unquote successful, because there's are you creating revenue or are you profitable? Are you bringing home money, but what are you saving and investing? Right. So I think that's adding to a whole generation of stress for sure.
I love what you just said about perceived excellence. And we talk about that all the time. For any of you guys that are into Dave Ramsey or followed him at all, he talks a lot about the concept of keeping up with the Joneses, which is exactly what you just talked about, Tim. Exactly. And, I have had, people professionally and personally in my office or on the phone with me crying because, they are not taking their kids on fancy vacations or they're not buying them these expensive things, presents and such. And I usually will say, I'm like, I understand where you're coming from, but just so you know, those people that are going to the Bahamas for 2 weeks, I can almost guarantee you they can't afford it either. They're just throwing it on a credit card or something, and so don't feel too bad. You're just being responsibly broke,
Yeah. Well, what's so
There's
funny?
There's a t-shirt, #responsibly broke.
Responsibly
available
broke.
Listen, I'm all over it. Tim, write that down. We're gonna trademark that tomorrow, the three of us.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you get into this. So, and I think you can talk about this, Megan. So this, I'm picturing that person that's like really ashamed, right? They have all this shame and it's like lack of knowledge is really all it is. Cause I don't remember this class growing up and I'm pretty sure my parents didn't teach me anything about this. And when you start to have these conversations and you start to know more, you can feel more confident because you own the information, you know how to make the choices. And I can think of, I was very public about the fact that my husband and I went through financial peace and that it absolutely saved us financially in terms of when I was diagnosed with cancer. We would have, cancer is the #1 health-related cause of bankruptcy in the United States. And we paid over $32,000 out of pocket for my care and I have good insurance. Okay. We would not have been able to shoulder that without creating more debt had we not done all of this work ahead of time. And it's funny when people know that you're doing that and you're saving, they're like, it's like you're in a club of people who know how to manage their money. And we went on vacation after. I remember one of the agents was like, I bet you paid for that in cash. I was like, yeah, I did. And she was like,
I did. It was in a separate vacation fund.
And she was like, high-fived me. And she's, she herself, I think, paid off something like $55,000 worth of debt through.
Oh, good. You go, girl.
Yeah.
Love that.
Doing this type of work, right? Like working with a coach and going to classes and learning about how money works and how to make your your income work? Because so that's, you know, I think talk about that, because I think that's the piece of like, do you hear that a lot? Like, oh, I just need to make more money.
Constantly.
I heard it yesterday. I was like, what does that mean?
Here's what happens, folks. So if you're thinking to yourself, and again, Erin, you can attest to this. We hear this all day long, right? Oh, well, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get a raise next year, or I'm finishing my education. I'm going to go and I'm going to make, you know, an extra $10,000 a year. If you don't know how to budget, if you don't know how to prioritize wants versus needs, if you're not organized, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference how much more money you make. I know that wasn't proper English, but
we got your message.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Don't tell my mother. She's very into grammar. She would not be happy with that.
It's the COVID fog. We'll let it slide this time, Megan.
Yeah.
I have had COVID fog. That has happened. I was trying to say actually real estate agent the other day, and I said insurance adjuster. I don't know.
It's the same.
I mean,
just
same realm-ish. Like, I don't know. But yeah, you know, you nailed it too, Erin, when you said these things are not taught in school. And, you know, for all of us that went to college, like myself, you know, we were not sat down at all and given any sort of, hey, you know, do you know how much money you're going to make when you get out? Hey, do you know how much your loan payments are going to be? What did they say to Erin and I and everybody else? They said, oh, you need more money. Here, just
sign
go ahead, sign this. Yeah, sign this. And then if you check out the weather, it's beautiful today. I mean, that's what we got. And, you know, as far as, you know, high school and college, you know, I can tell you all sorts of random facts about like organic chemistry and, you know, algebra and all these things. I don't know about you guys. No one taught me what credit was. No one taught me the importance of balancing a checkbook. No one taught me about budgeting. And, you know, that's what we try to do. We try to give people that education. Knowledge is power. I'm sure, you know, Erin can agree with me on that. Knowledge is power. We only know what we know, and what we don't know, how could we possibly be responsible for? However, you know, as far as credit goes and, you know, not going into debt, you know, I can't tell you how many people, when I talk to them, they're like, you know, my interest rate is this. Is that good? No. But, you know, my credit score is this. Is that okay? No. But you don't know. So I'm going to talk to you about how it all works, how it became this. And even better, how we can help get you out of it. Because again, having that information, having that knowledge will help people work with us to set up a plan, you know, for them that fits their lifestyle. And, you know, Erin, like you've mentioned that to me about, you know, how thank goodness you guys paid everything off before you got sick. Or like you said, you're like, I don't know what we would have done. Like, I have no idea what we would have done. And, you know, there's so many people out there that have just, you know, if I had told them, you know, 2 years ago, this is where you're going to be, where you are in this good place with, you know, not a lot of debt and a decent credit score, home buying, they would have told me I was being mean, because that wasn't even close to where they were, you know. But, you know, it's amazing what a little education and hard work can do. Yeah.
Well, do you find that somebody comes in, they throw themselves across your desk, and you start to, and they want to go from 0 to 60 when, like you said, it's baby steps. So if someone's hearing this and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to get started, like what is the brass tacks first thing they should do as an individual, as a couple, as a familial unit, to sit down and start to put together a plan? Like, what's the first step for somebody who's the hottest of messes to start to rein it in?
Oh yeah. And the hottest of that, those are the people I like the best. The messier, the better. The first thing, great question, Tim. And I'm glad you mentioned couples as well, because it's really important if you're in a relationship where you're sharing bills, or even if you're not, but you're married and or, you know, you're living together and things. It's really important to do these things together and get on the same page with everything. And what I always advise as a first step for people is start working on a budget. I ask them to go through the last 2 or 3 months of their checking account statement, or however it is they pay their bills, and literally write down, this is my car payment amount, this is Netflix, this is Verizon. Start writing down, this is the amount of money. Thank you, that's where I was headed. If anyone's looking to cut some costs, We are the nation of eating. Let me tell you, like all we do is eat.
That's the most expensive piece of my pie
know?
every week. So if you run the Mint
It's
app,
awful.
Right, you run that Mint app and it gives you the report
Oh,
every
yeah?
week. You see, and the pie comes up with where all your spending is. The piece of
you're
pie
like,
that is called Starbucks is pretty big. Yes.
Yeah.
Because
My favorite
like
part is when
now,
my favorite part is when I go through my finances like that and I see all this food and I'm like, I wonder why I've been gaining weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, you know, but go through that, figure out how much you're spending at the grocery store, figure out how much you're spending on coffee, cigarettes, write it down. And if you're in a couple especially, or even if you're not, what I tell people to do, this is what it is, folks. There's no use crying over spilled milk. You can change it, but you need to know first. And I've had so many people come to me and say, do you know I spend $110 a month on coffee? And I'm like, okay, so how do you feel about that? Oh, this stops now. Like, absolutely. And they're appalled with themselves, right? It's not because they didn't know. They're not drinking any more coffee than they were 2 weeks ago, but they didn't know how much they were spending. So I tell people to get that budget down, and then I tell them to give us a call at the Center for Finance and Education, because we can meet with people in person, over the phone, via Zoom, via email, via carrier pigeon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if people aren't comfortable doing the budget on their own, or they're just, I don't even know where to begin, that's fine. We'll do that with you as well. We'll start there. Yeah. But if you're in a partnership especially, it's really important when you go through and you start looking at this stuff and you do your budget, blaming isn't going to help anybody. Don't get mad at your significant other for this and that. Just write it down. I'm telling you, I hear more fighting, and I'm like, listen, you spend 110 on coffee, but nice, fantasy football addiction over here. Come on now, everybody, we all of our things,
It's cathartic for me. Listen, all right.
Listen, our CEO, who does a lot of coaching with us, he has something, he says it all the time, and I love it. And he says, Megan, they have to live. Everybody needs a reason to get up in the morning. Yeah. And for some of us, that's Starbucks. It's okay. If you tell me I am totally fine spending $100 a month on coffee, I go, perfect, next line item. Works for me, if it works for you,
Well, it's $100 a month, they're not going to Starbucks. So that's clear. I mean, I think we're excited to get through Starbucks at $7 for sure. But back what you were just talking about with couples, and you alluded to, well, Erin talked about it with cancer causing bankruptcy for families. But the amount of couples, like the number one thing that most people are fighting about on the couch with their therapist is typically financially related, right? Yes. And not that if the money comes into the relationship, everything's cured. Like I think Richard Pryor said, cocaine doesn't make you a bad person. It just exacerbates if you're a bad person, right? So more money is just gonna turn up the dial on if you're a jerk or not, right? So money won't fix the relationship. Although when couples are fighting about money, I know we see a lot of marriages end. And right now, I think you've got the perfect storm of they were home together for 18 months. One of them got furloughed, then lost their job. Then you decided you didn't like my face. Then you realized I was eating too much or drinking too much. Like all those things rolling together. So how often do you see, if they get in there in the right time frame, that some relationships can get repaired if they're willing to get on the same page? To your point, you can't have one member of the couple show up and say, "I'll fix it," because the other person could talk, and then the blame game gets worse, probably.
I've had people in my office, and when they came and sat down, at first, I always refer to them as a couple of bowling pins. They move their chairs so they're not near each other. Their heads are leaning in opposite directions. My goal, even after the first meeting, is to get everyone to come together, even just a little bit.
Yep. And,
what sometimes is really useful is having an impartial third party to come in and work with a couple, because everyone has their own way of doing things. Yeah. And many times they're not wrong. They might just need a little tweaking. And, this is just an example of a tip we talk about. I had this couple in my office. They were all mad about what the other one was spending some money on. And they agreed on most points. It was just that spending money that they couldn't agree on. Yeah. So I said to him, I said, guys, I said, can I give out a couple thoughts for you? I said, why don't you try this? What if you decided that you were going to each have a certain amount of money, each paycheck that you got, that's called no questions asked money.
Oh,
You spend it
hang on, let me write this down. She's gonna love this.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get a call from Tim tomorrow. He'll be like, so I think I'm getting divorced. So, you know? But you know, this works wonderfully for folks because if Erin and her husband decide they each get, X amount of paycheck, then, if Erin spends all her money on the first day, or if she decides to spend none of it and save it till next month or whatever, again, but the goal is no questions asked. So well, I can't believe you, and did you? Nope, no questions asked. It's your money. You each have your own. Other tips I give for people like that, I'll say, why don't you guys talk about opening a separate checking account just for your bills and just put enough money in there to cover your bills. And then the rest of the money goes into account with your debit cards and go to town with it if you have to, that's sometimes the simplest way. Usually by the time they leave our first session, they're at least feeling heard and they're feeling like hopefully they're on the same page or they can get on the same page. And I have had people tell us, my coworkers and I, they'll be like, we haven't fought in 3 months and we fought over money all the time.
All the time.
Yep.
All the time. And, when you guys probably hear this, when people say the word budget, it's got such a negative, to it. People are like, oh, that's restrictive. Like, I feel like I'm a teenager getting allowance. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, humor me. Create one. We'll work together to make it interesting and something that'll work for you. And then a month later, I get a call and they're like, this is the most freeing thing I've ever done. I'm like, I know.
Well, what's interesting too is I think the communication styles and Tim and I in our coaching talk about people's personalities a lot. And so when it comes to everything, I need to talk a lot about it, right? So I need very frequent family finance meetings. Yep. My husband could just sit in the corner and pay all the bills and never talk about it with anyone.
Yes, dear. Yep.
And so that was something when we first started doing this financial coaching, this financial wellness coaching, realizing how we each need to communicate. And it was huge. I need to talk a lot about it. I need to see the sheets. I need to look at the budget. I need all that sort of and it's not that he's wrong or I'm wrong, but meeting each other and me understanding he doesn't need to talk about it as much, but that he also needs to kind of meet me where I'm at. And I think before that, he would just be like, what are we doing? Let's just pay the bill already. Why are we talking about it for 5 hours?
And you're going, oh my gosh, he doesn't even care. He won't say a word. And
you're not
and you both care. It's just, and Erin, that's huge, and in any kind of coaching, anything like that, again, that's like I said, sometimes having an impartial third party like you folks or ourselves is huge because we can hear everybody and just kind of really get out, okay, how do you like to do this? All right, what are your concerns, in a nice neutral environment?
Yeah, cool.
So we're gonna, if we're left with 2 actionable items. So if I want to attack the resources that you guys have, and again, that's at nhfcu.org. There are resources that I could dig into right now at a moment's notice and start to utilize to better myself. And then the other option would be how would we, or are we able to get a hold of you if somebody wanted to book time with your face to get your help?
Absolutely. Yep. So I have myself and I have 2 amazing coworkers that work right along with me. We also have my manager, CEO, and the entire lending team that we work with. So if you want to get a hold of me, hear more about financial education, what we do, schedule an appointment, or just to talk, anything like that, you can give me a phone call. My direct line over at the center is area code 603-224-7731, extension 330. Or if you're an email person, which like myself, it's easier, you can email us and we can be reached at centerfe, so that is CENTERFE at nhfcu.org. And you can go to our website, www.nhfcu.org, go up to the Center for Finance and Education tab, and you're going to see all of the webinars that you can sign up for, as well as our video channel, which has like 24 already pre-recorded webinars on all sorts of fun topics. So that's the best way to get started. And certainly, please reach out to me. We're always here.
Awesome. Megan, thank you so much for everything. We'll put all of your information in the liner notes, and we appreciate you joining us. If you're enjoying the show and the content here at Unscripted, please share with your friends. We'd love that. Thank you, Megan. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Megan.
And I'm glad that you
so
now you now taste better and smell better. That's good.
Oh, so much better.
Camera.
I can even smell my perfume again. It's wonderful. So thank you so much, Tim and Erin. Goodbye, everyone.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye.